Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It's World Sports Betting's morning show from myself, Alistair, and the rest of the team. Hope we entertain you. Well, we certainly will entertain you for the next hour and a bit, and we've got a whole lot of special guests, but none of which are special right now. We've got the usual four without Terry, unfortunately. Terry will be back soon, but we've got a few guys in the wings that will be joining us a bit later on. But for now, let me introduce what's going on. And Rod McCurdy's actually got something to show you all. Absolutely.
There we go, Winks. How good is she, eh? Another black caviar in the making. To miss the start by what? 3?
Yep.
Six wide around the home turn.
And Bowman didn't even push the button.
Just held her like that. That's a champion, isn't it?
Yes. That is world class.
Another Australian champion, isn't it? Brilliant. Unbelievable.
Who got you that, by the way?
I don't know, but Sneaky Dean, I think. Sneaky might have got that.
Okay, well, that's pretty disdainful. Was that part of your bets, Dom, Winks?
No, I couldn't. I don't know. It was part of my bets, but I didn't want to tip on it because it was obviously very short in the price. Was no value there. It was look. The whole world knew it's going to win.
She's not about 400 odd. Gary was saying she's gone, she's gone.
17 out of 17. Well, now it's 18 out of 18. She's a wonderful filly. She's worth her weight in gold.
Absolutely. You see the crowds, they're out to watch Winks. And, well, Gary, 1 to 12, you're saying before the race, would you have your life on a 1 to 12 shot in a 8-horse race? The answer is probably not. But for those that did, for those that are braver than us,
they get the money, right?
Got the money.
Simple as that. No, she's obviously supernatural, right? I mean, what she does is not what normal horses can do. There's no doubt about it. It's difficult enough to get a horse to win 3 races in a row, as good as they are, even good horses, as Tom knows. But she was super impressive there. The one thing I want to say about commentators, and maybe I'm wrong, you can correct me here.
Wrong.
Rod said she missed the jump by 3 lengths. I always think you underdo that. You always say, missed the jump by 3 lengths, and to me it looks like they've missed the jump by 7 or 8 lengths. Well, where do you judge it by? By the horse that's at the front or the second last horse?
Well, I once got told by the starter, because once I said slow away, lost 2 lengths. He says, never lost 2 lengths. I said, well, it's obviously a spur of the moment thing. You say, what'd you see? He says, no, we count to 3, and that's a length. I said,
what?
That's what he... Because when you read a Starps report, it'll say, Gary Lenson was slow, lost a length. It doesn't look like it was a length. So that's how the starter interprets.
So we're quite scientific here. The guy sitting in the stands, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4. You count to 9 and you say that's 3 lengths. The race is finished.
No.
Horses run 200 meters, the last 200 in what, 19, 20 seconds, some of them, you know what I'm saying? So in other words, where he's...
Is that the ones worth feeding?
The good ones run it in 20 seconds. It also depends on the track, right? So in other words, they're running 200 meters in 20 seconds. What this guy's doing, he says in 20 seconds they would have run 70 meters. No, this looks a clown, the starter. No, retarded.
I'd actually like to know how fast Thabo September can run 200 meters. I think he might beat some of the horses that Gary's talking about. Liam, how fast can you do 200 meters?
I don't know, but I've certainly had a lesson in lengths here, so I'm going to take that home and, store it.
And you're going to use it in your story when you write about the cheetahs and the bulls later today.
I would absolutely
have you drawn the long straw by not going down to PE or drawn the short straw by not going down to PE?
PE, great for 3 nights, but to have spent the week there probably would have been a bit of a stretch.
Okay. Well, these are the 4 that we've got right now. We'll introduce our special guests as the rest of the show goes by. But we are going to start off with racing because obviously Dom needs to get his points across. Dom, what do we have on the Saturday morning from Down Under, other than Winks?
Other than Winks, we've got 2 races to tip on. We've got one from Randwick, race 7, which we tip in Euro Angel, Brendan Abdullah.
Is he Lebanese by any chance?
No. Close, but not quite there yet. And then we tip in Moffatville, race 6. We're going to show Pera. The interesting thing is Euro Angel's coming off a long layoff. She's had 2 great barrier trials, and she's working up a storm back in Australia, and they say that's the right one. Drawn 2. She's got a lot going for her, and I think she'll go very close today.
I don't know how to read you, Dom, because normally on a Friday, I'm obviously here on a Friday, and you come up to me and said, oh, I found something big in Australia. And when you have that type of confidence, if they don't win, they go very close. You haven't said a word. Have you got on already?
Yeah, you know what?
Try to save this from me and Gary and Rod and Liam.
Once bitten, twice shy. So now I just keep quiet because the horses are just shorting dramatically after I tip them. So I'm just keeping quiet and getting on first, and now the rest of the world can get on.
Can I ask you, Dom, do you think these barrier trials are a good thing in Australia?
I think they're top class.
Why do we not have something like that there where the public can go and watch and be transparent and the punters get a good idea of how the horses are working?
Yeah, I think we'll generate a lot more turnover, but I think it's a very costly exercise. and I don't know, we got the budget to do it, but
How do
it's
they
one
do
of
it, Tom?
it's sorry.
Do they jump out of the starting stalls? What distance
It's a
do they go?
complete race.
Yeah,
it's
it's a
a
race.
complete race
Really?
where they have 10 or 12 horses in a race, and then they run against each other just like a normal race, and you can see yourself who's doing well and who's not doing well.
Prize money or not?
And the funny thing is, Winks won her first barrier trials since she's racing a week and a half ago.
Should never won a barrier trial.
Can you believe
believe
that?
Really?
So, yeah, but there's an old saying in racing that some horses they know when they're racing and they know when they're trialing and they know when they're working. And she's one of those fillies that is just a professional. She knows when she's in a race.
Okay, well, we haven't had a look at that betting for Morfordville yet, so we're just going to get Dom to remind us. Who have you gone for? Shopera.
Shopera
She's
draw.
you adventurous.
You never go for the favourites. It's one thing about you.
No. You know what? 2 weeks ago, we tipped the 5-1 to beat
No,
the
that's what I'm
8-10.
saying. Public are telling me.
No, but it just worked out today that all the arrows point to these type of horses. I know this one's a little bit short, but it's going to be hard to beat her. You'd rather have a 40-10 shot than a loser, you know.
Exactly.
So I think this will win.
Yeah.
And the double, what does the double work out to, Gary?
What was the first one? 41? 3-1.
Yeah.
So 4 times 2 10, about 8 to 9 to 1.
The
not
bookmaker
bad.
said
That's
it.
good.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, good bet.
Bookmaker.
Well, he's-
When are you taking out your license?
No, professional punter.
So, yeah, those are the two for Australia guys, and I think they're going to go very close. The second one is my top bet, Shapira. I think she will, she won't get beat.
1.5 times your money. Nothing wrong with that, Gary?
No, exactly.
100%.
Good value. No, I met a lot of guys at the sales this week that had a lot to say about your tipping, Tom?
Oh, really?
No, lots. And a lot of them are also TV producers. You know,
Okay.
I didn't know how many punters are TV producers. They go there, they had so many ideas for the show, from take it off the air, they had a lot of good advice, you know, to why do you tip things, you tip the cheaters at -40, they lost off level, just in case I forgot.
Yeah,
a lot of
right.
people think that we suffer from memory loss, you know? So they remind you about every loser that you tipped, you know.
When you walk past the TV, you go, oh no.
No, I went there yesterday in a blonde wig, you know what I'm saying, you know.
Did anyone hit on you? In a blonde
You
wig?
tried to hit me, then I had to bolt, you know what I'm saying? But no, one of the guys there said he made a lot of money following your tips. He said he gets up specially to hear your tips, takes each one individually and the double, and if the 2 win, he's set up for the day.
Ah, brilliant.
You know?
But you know, this last 2 weeks in racing in general, it's been very difficult.
I heard you cracked it on Thursday, you and your mates.
Unlucky. I told him the story. You out bipod first leg, and then you back that to cock thing the round third first timer.
Yeah, we were shattered for the rest of the day, but I don't think Houdini could win on a day like Thursday. So
True.
Are your shoes sponsored by Drakenstein Stud? Light blue?
Yeah. No,
Powder
see why you
blue?
say-
Either that or Buttercup from the Powerpuff Girls.
I thought you were going to say Butterbean. Funny enough, they're not sponsored by anybody. Rod, anyone gets his shoes sponsored by
I paid
Technicolor.
for these, I promise you.
Pay, yes.
You know what I'm amazed by is the
discounted
amount of
these days.
times that you've gone to the bush
Yeah.
and they actually haven't disintegrated, other than the pea soup that you got in your
Who
shoes.
says it's the same pair?
yeah.
No. Well, but I'm telling you, someone said to me the other day, why don't you clean them? I said, it's a thing called patina. You let them age naturally, and that's their sort of bush boots. So
It's
there
not
you go.
wine.
Hey?
It's not wine.
It is wine. Yeah, that cask. Oh, no, the decanted cask. It's going to leak.
From the box.
Yeah. So a bit of spillage on there. But they're very comfortable shoes. Get off to where? Tacky Town and get a decent pair of shoes.
Did you forget where you got those from for a moment?
I did. But, hey, one of the owners there, how many winners did he have yesterday?
4 yesterday.
4
With
yesterday.
3 different trainers, I think.
Hey, he's killing him, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yvette Bremner,
Yeah.
Doing very well.
Headley, the boys down there, Mark Wright, all of them doing extremely
Talking
well.
about shoes, Gary bought me these, but he said I can only wear them for the show.
Well, you wouldn't want to wear them anywhere else, would you, to be fair?
Okay, now what about your rugby racing mixer, Dom? What have you found on the local scene today?
Yeah, we're talking about we got a bit of value in this sector. We tip in a 6-1 shot. She's a dragon.
I didn't know my wife was running again. She ran
Yeah,
yesterday.
no, that's gone.
We're going to She's a dragon. She's a filly that's...
But you're going to run a place, eh?
Yeah, because of the price. I think she's 6-7 to 1 today, and she's a lot of value. This filly ran in three group races. What happened?
No, I just want to have a look because I'm obviously not calling it Turf and Turn today. I've got Mauritius.
Okay, but she's running.
She's a dragon a place, eh?
Yeah, she's running 3 group races. She went off a bit of form, but her form's starting to shine again, and I think she's back to the right trip. She's got the right jockey in Ryan Munga. I know it's one of your favourite jockeys.
I like
Rod.
Ryan, yeah, I do.
And I think she's ready for a good race today. If she can possibly win, But if the guys take a place onto your bet, I think it's going to be worth their while.
Who Grick was playing? Pumas tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, exactly. And they'll have no drama.
Are you going to Kimberley, Liam?
No, I'm not.
Half the Puma side aren't even going to Kimberley, you know. Nobody's going to go to Kimberley in the middle of winter. Why would you do that? But Greek was, I mean, the only thing that worries me is that I just can't get them right.
That's the thing. When I
once
saw
you get
that,
a team
I was
wrong, you know what I mean, then you always get buggered by
That
that
was
team.
a surprise result, surely, last week.
Yeah, so I backed the Cheetahs, right? Minus
Oh,
15.
did you?
Yeah, I had my bet, and one of my clown friends phoned me at half-time. I'll put on his accent, then he'll work out who it is. Lenton, good news, the Cheetahs are 22-3 up at half-time.
He
They
had a
never
winner.
got to
He had a
22 the
winner
whole
last
game. I mean, what was he watching?
Yeah.
I mean, I was all celebrating. He watched the wrong game. They never reached 22.
I know you're
obviously
talking
watching a
about.
rerun.
He must have been.
He had a winner. You see, he had a winner the
Yes,
other day.
he
Yeah,
did.
saw
Yeah,
that.
that same day. So I got stuck out, and he was laughing because Osculation won for Magna 2 in a row.
And I'd like to thank Don. We went to racing last week, took my daughter, who was down from the bush, and my wife went racing. We took every penny we had and put them on those two. Thanks very much.
Okay.
So, anyway.
So where's your daughter
Sorry
now?
about that.
Hey?
Where's your daughter now?
No, she's back up in Kruger.
So she could afford the petrol to go back.
Well, I had to borrow it. Yeah, she did a lot. No, my wife and my daughter never lose at racing, ever. Because when we sit down...
So this was a first.
No, they never lose. No, because what happens when I sit
take your
down...
money,
Yeah,
okay.
here's the cash, here's the cash. And then after 3 races, we're out. What happened? Well, here's the cash, here's the cash. So they
You
walk out...
earn too much.
Hey?
You earn way too much.
I'm giving him $10 at a time, mate.
And I promise you, it's a peaceful thing to do at the races. If you go to the course with your wife and
Yeah.
that, you want to have fun,
Yeah.
give them money to get out of your hair. That I
Exactly.
promise you now.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
But when
Otherwise,
your
it's
bets
torture.
win, don't they take your ticket as well and cash it?
I collected once on Saturday, once.
And
I
how you got
had
it?
an exactor that paid $13.20 and I got that 150 times. So that got me out of it. And I sort of broke square on the day. I walked past Brian Weed and his guests last week on the deck there. And I said, hey, Brian, how did you go today? And all these guests just looked at me and said, you've got to be kidding. How did you go? I said, broke square. They said, you're the only one on course.
It's a win.
Yeah, there's a winner today.
Well,
yeah.
there we go. At least we know someone who's got wins on himself. Right, we're going to take a quick break. Dom's going to vacate, and he will be replaced by the one and only Carol Shabalala. Here are the big poker tournaments coming up. Of course, proudly brought to you by Empress Palace, Queen 10 and Shuffle Up Poker. Look at these dates, 13th of October until the 21st of October. The WPT Empress Palace Poker Classic. Buy-ins are from free to 40,000 Rand, but that's not all. We're not too far away from the Graceland Poker Series starting on the 10th of August and running through to the 13th of August. The main event for 10,000 Rand. Then the KZN Poker Series in beautiful Richards Bay from the 15th to the 19th of November at the Umfolozi Casino. Visit www.queen10.com or contact Candice at shuffleuppoker.com and that number 078-611-8355. All the poker coming up, proudly brought to you by Empress Palace, Queen 10 and Shuffle Up Poker. Right, plenty to talk about. World Sports Betting giving much, much more away. The winners of the 5 1,000 Rand cash prizes are Bernard Malumo, Sagan Naika, Abigail Kasi, Charles Edward, and Tamsaka.
Well done. Yeah, Tamsang.
Oh, there we go.
And his surname?
Yeah.
You think he's only Tamsaka watching? There are probably 70, 80,000 watching.
That was a thumb suck for most of it. In your case, Alistair.
Okay, now this is important because there are a lot of people that ask me, and obviously a lot of others, where is the nearest World Sports Betting? Where can we get on? Where can we watch our racing and our sport? Right, in Gauteng, there's North Riding. There's one at Maponya Mall in Soweto. There's one in Pretoria Street in Krugersdorp. Also Fine Art House Town Branch and also Turfentine Racecourse. Then in Cape Town, there's one in Brackenfell, the Aroma Village Centre. That should smell good. One in Philippi as well at Govan and Becky and Asselben Roads. There's also Sable Square and Bosmansdam Road, and Khayelitsha have a outlet as well. And then KZN, one in Stanger at King Shark and Cato Street, one at the White House in Phoenix. Durban CBD, you can't miss that. And then in Durban North as well, and Umhlanga Rocks Drive. I'm sure that will be a very busy outlet as well. Right, so it's time to welcome the one and only Carol Shabalala, who's come to join us. Soccer season has begun.
Yes,
Yeah, Carol.
I'm so excited. So many friendlies and now finally into competitive football. I love it. Domestically, obviously, last weekend it was all about the MTN8 competition. Plenty red cards. What was it, like 6 red cards that were given out in, yeah, in the opening round of fixtures, and interesting results. We had our first big game in the PSL as well last night. So very nice to see Cape Town City starting off on the front foot, leading the pack, and plenty more fixtures this weekend.
Okay, well, we will get into the PSL a little bit later on, because we do have a very special guest to chat about the PSL. So Premier League and also a little bit of rugby that we'll talk about now. Start off with rugby though, Liam. Rugby Championship kicks off today. Springboks are in action down in Port Elizabeth against Argentina, and obviously Australia are hosting New Zealand. We all have an idea on how we expect both games to go.
Yeah.
Are there any jokers in the pack?
Potentially in Port Elizabeth, if the Springboks don't play with sufficient composure, I think they will be sitting ducks, because Argentina, we know, will come at them up front. They'll challenge them in the scrums. They'll challenge them at ruck time. And they'll probably even try and get under a couple of Springbok skins, in particular the captain. So, you know, I think he'll be one of their targets. So if they don't show enough composure, I think they'll be in trouble. But, you know, they should still have enough to win that game, because Argentina, as we know, over the last year, they beat South Africa in Salta last year, and they've had 11 tests since then, and they've lost 9 of those. They've played themselves into positions of promise and favour, but they just don't show sufficient game management to get the job done.
Good decision to make the captain. I think it was pretty clever there, because he's had a bit of a reputation of running in, giving away penalties, the odd yellow card. Do you think that's a great decision to make him take a bit of responsibility?
He actually hasn't copped that many yellow cards. I mean,
Who gave you your facts?
I've got the man answering a question now. So your job as the host is meant to be doing this sort of thing. So I saw a gap, jumped in, and now give the man a chance.
He does sort of give off that vibe as if he's about to lose it, but he, you know, if you look at his test career, he hasn't been carded that often.
No.
So and he's reminded people of that it's an unfair criticism. But, you know, against Argentina, you know, they'll press some buttons, and he will have to show a lot of composure today.
Exactly.
And not just today, next week they go to Salta again, or to Argentina.
Your turn now. Do your job properly.
Exactly. I'll tell you what, next week you can sit in this chair, because I remember your debut of hosting the show was an absolute disaster.
I did that on purpose.
Right, where were we? We're talking about Eben Etzebeth now as the captain.
Well, he was, and then I got roped in. But anyway.
Yes. Gary, what's your opinion on today's game down in Port Elizabeth?
The Springbok side doesn't look like a great side to me. It's just amazing. One person
There are some
out.
holes, yeah.
There are. And you just take out Whiteley, and all of a sudden, those holes are more exposed. You know what I'm saying? I think he's the gel in the side, like he's a gel in the Lion side. And I think that let's not confuse this side with the Jaguaries that play in Super Rugby. They're not the same side. They have a lot of same personnel, but they've never, ever performed as poorly as their provincial side do. And I think they'll be tough in P. I really think they will be tough. I think it's an ordinary South African side. There are improvements to come. I think they'll battle to get to that spread. They'll win.
Weather? We know it's going to be a 60-kilometre wind.
This week.
Eh?
It's been raining the bulk of the
That's
week.
what I'm saying. They
Yeah.
changed yesterday to Polytrack in Port Elizabeth from the turf. They'd had 33 mils of rain, I think, the night before, didn't they, Alistair? And then they moved it.
That will suit Argentina, right? Because they'll one scrum.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
They
They'll one
also have
scrum the
halfbacks that can manage a game like that in Landago and Nicolas Sanchez. Sanchez is a fantastic kicker of the
Great.
ball, and he can read the game.
I stayed
that
out
gives
of
them a
this
bit of
game.
an advantage. But
15.5 spread? Is it
It's a lot,
15.5?
16.5 even, I think, on WSB.
That's
It's a
a
long
lot.
way to go.
Yeah,
eh?
it's a lot.
It's a long way to go.
I mean, that's more than 2 trials. But Carol, with regard to the whole mainstream situation, I mean, you obviously deal with a lot of people who know their things in various sports. Obviously, there's been there's an upward curve when it comes to South African rugby compared to last year. But overall, going into this rugby championship, what are the hopes, do you think?
I think particularly with this first encounter, as you said, a lot of individuals expecting us to win. And I think a good way to sort of lead us into the rugby championship, as it were. So even though, as you said, there's a few holes and a couple of doubts in terms of some of the individuals, I think this is a good way for us to get it started, you know, with a victory. Yeah, so optimistic. It'll always be optimistic with the national team side. I know a lot of individuals ahead of this encounter talking more about the colours that we're going to be running out onto the field. And what, we're going to be in red?
A red jersey.
We're in red,
That's
yeah?
next week.
Oh, is it next week?
Yeah,
Ah,
against Argentina as well, but it's their away strip.
That's-
Jake White.
Mm.
He's
Yeah, I was gonna
criticised
say,
him, hasn't
that's
he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was very vocal about that, Jake White, wasn't he?
And so was Bucky's Buerta.
Yeah.
He was very vocal on...
Yeah, Bucky's was upset.
Hey,
But
he's
you don't
very
wanna do
upset.
that, yeah.
No, exactly. I agree with him, whatever he said. Well, I didn't understand the word,
I mean, Bucky's
but
was,
whatever he
he
says,
was
I'm
saying
happy.
bad, wasn't he?
Yeah, I agree with him. You know?
Okay, so let's get a margin from the guys. I'm going to start off with Rod. What do you think's going to happen?
I actually stayed out. I didn't put this in. I was unsure. I really was unsure. So if it's wet and windy, it could be difficult. I think Gary's hit it on the head. I think it'll suit their style of game. You know, barging, a negative play, trying to upset them and see if they...
You're not Terry Payne by any chance talking in an Australian accent? 'Cause that's exactly what he would have said. Don't know.
Absolutely nothing. I am sitting on the fence for this one, so move on to someone who knows what's going on.
Carol?
A win.
A win's
Yeah,
a
it's
win.
going to be. Yeah, we're going to get a victory as it is. Margin. I don't know, but it's going to be tough. But it's definitely the Boks going to win it.
Okay, well, actually, I think Carol might have a point here, Gary, because I don't think the South African public really care if they win by 1 or win by 30, as long as we win.
No, obviously we'd like to win well and win playing decent rugby, which would be difficult if it is still wet. But yeah, win's better than a loss in any way, and ugly win's better than a loss, for sure. I think South Africa win. I think it'll be like that horse race that we saw. They may start off a little bit slowly, and I think they'll run on in the end and they'll win, but they're not going to win by 20, 30 points, I don't think. I think the margin, somewhere between a try and 2 tries, 8 to 10 points. And a lot depends on how Yankees kicks as well, you know what I'm saying? There are two Yankees when he kicks. He had the semi-final when he was poor and the final when he was very good, you know what I'm saying? If he kicks well, obviously they'll win by further. If he doesn't kick well, I think somewhere between 7 and 10 points is their margin.
And then, Liam, what do you... I actually got a feeling Gary's taken every word out of your mouth.
The only thing I would disagree with, you said up to 10. I'm thinking 10 to 12, if not a tad more than that. The Yankees fact is what you brought up there is fairly valid because if at times he struggles at Ellis Park, can you imagine what will happen in a windy and a gusty PE?
Yeah.
And there's also the additional pressure. He's vice captain. Imagine even Itzebet has to go off and Yankees captains. I mean, there's more pressure then. So there are some question marks, but I think the Boks will in the end get the job done. And I think it's actually important for them to win and do so fairly convincingly. Even if you just win by 12 points, if you show that you actually a lot better than that and that the winning margin in some ways flatter the team that is defeated, that is going to take a lot of, or give them a lot of confidence going to Salto. And I think the South African viewing public will also want that. Because if they win by 1 or 2 points, everybody's going to go, oh, but they still have to travel next week and it's going to be so much worse.
Okay, all right, so that's the big game for us, certainly. But quickly, the first game between Australia and New Zealand down in Australia. Liam, this should be one-way traffic. How ugly do you think it can get?
Ugly in the sense that they will...
Completely one-sided and wipe the floor of Australia.
Well, we saw last year Wallabies, I think, put 42 points on them and basically set the tone for the rest of Australia's, their international commitments for the season. I don't think it'll be as one-sided. I think the All Blacks will beat the spread. But I think certainly what the Wallabies will try and do, and they've said as much, in the first hour, try and stay as close to the All Blacks as possible. And they believe that they've got a much better bench. So the Wallabies... That's what they said.
And the personnel on the bench, what are they like?
I mean, it might be a shiny bench. It might cover it with a coat of varnish.
with 8 idiots sitting on it. I mean,
They've got some heavy hitters apparently coming off the bench. But the important thing for that to play itself out and make a difference in the game, they will still have to be in the contest at the 60-minute mark. And I doubt that's going to be the case. I think
Mackenzie full back? Is that because is Geordie Barrett injured?
Yeah.
he's injured for the rest of the. He's out for the rest of
Oh,
the
is
season.
he? Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
see that. So,
Yeah.
but he's not a bad replacement, that guy.
No, he's not.
He's
He
really
might
useful.
get a few bombs coming his
He's not
way.
the biggest bloke going around, is he? But he's
They
certainly
will test him.
You know, I found crazy for some of the journalists that they went and they said to the Wallabies that they're not fit. How can they not be fit? They've been playing Super Rugby now for the best part of 20 weeks. They've had international stuff.
You
That's
must
all nonsense.
remember that their
Journalists.
international or Super Rugby commitments stopped pretty much at league stages. Then the Brumbies played for one more week.
That's true.
So
They still gotta be
the cobwebs probably
Yeah. But
I will
I
have to
think
get rid of.
I'll tell you what, I think watch this game today. I think it's going to be an entertaining game, and I don't think it's going to be a one-sided game. I really don't think so.
It will be entertaining. I think the Wallabies will make a lot of play, but what will also happen is if you try and make a lot of play, you're also going to be making a lot of mistakes. Okay, they've got Foley, they've got Beale at inside centre, they've got Falau at fullback. It's the first time those three have started for the Wallabies
So
in the
those are
same
quality
game.
rugby players. That's what I'm saying. They have a lot of quality
They'll have a go.
individuals, right? I mean, that's the truth. Those are 3 world-class rugby. Okay, Fody's maybe not world-class, but Biela Folau, world-class. Hooper's very good. They got a...
Beale's also very good in the pub.
Yeah, okay, but he's not drinking today before the game, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Well-
you could then go back and say, so was Ricky Ponting a Potter or whatever you want to
And
say.
a punter and a
But-
potter.
Exactly. But he could still play when he had to, you know what I'm saying? So just because a guy's 1 or 2 indiscretions doesn't mean he's not talented.
say
Beale
that.
has talent. This Wallaby side, I think for them to put together 23 quality rugby players is a lot better than 5 super rugby teams, you know what I'm saying? Their limit isn't the talent, their limit is the personnel and the amount of players. And I think they'll put up. I don't think they're going to embarrass themselves today.
My biggest fear today is I've got to find a quiet pub in Hartebees Port Dam where there's not too many Kiwi supporters or South Africans ragging me how useless.
No, that you're going to find a lot of.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, I
gonna say,
know.
I don't know about too many Kiwi supporters in
Yeah.
Well,
Hartebees.
I'm an Aussie living here. There's got to be Kiwis hiding around somewhere.
I think every New Zealander in South Africa is going to make their way to Hearties just to give you help.
I know.
All right, so that's rugby pretty much behind us. I actually just want to get into cricket because we do have another race from Australia coming up and then we'll get into football after that. But Rod,
Yeah.
cricket, first test, the day-night test between England and the West Indies. I mean, sure.
Amazing, the ball didn't do as much. A pretty flat pitch, wasn't it? To be fair, they got 500. They declared Cook. I mean, he's now scored, I think it's 3100s.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, he's the highest scoring ever English batsman. I mean, that's a great thing,
Yeah.
you know. And if you compare his record to some really good players that you think have done really well, he's way better than what
Yeah.
they've done. He really has. He's averaged fantastic. He's a great player. But I feel sorry for a guy like Keaton Jennings. Because if you looked at the West Indian bowling, if you want to get your first 50 or your first 100, as we saw with David, what's his last name?
Milan.
Yes.
Milan, he got his 50.
Yep.
Yep, so good luck to him. Same with what's coming out to South Africa shortly. You'll be able to put yourself on the map, isn't it? So I feel sorry for those
it's
batsmen who
dangerous.
played a very good bowling side in South Africa and now have been left out, and these other guys that are coming in are playing against the West Indies. And to
So
be
you feel
fair,
sorry for
eh?
now you feel sorry for opening batsmen.
Well, not really, because I did. Yeah, but I
I
did.
showed Temba Bavuma any of that.
Well,
At no stage
That's the
whatsoever.
thing. What happens, isn't it? When you play a weaker side, you've got to cash in, and these guys are cashing in big time.
Can I say something without dropping names?
No.
Go on.
Okay.
Barney, what did Barney say?
No. Shane Warne once said something to me, right? He said to me, all you have to do is be good enough as a spinner to get your captain to give you another over. And eventually you'll get wickets. Just be good enough to get another over. And I'm relating that because Jennings wasn't good enough to get another chance.
No.
That's the
Fair-
truth,
fair
Harold.
comment.
He should have been dropped. He had his
Yeah.
chances. He had 4 tests against South Africa.
Yeah.
He never looked like scoring runs.
No, what I'm saying is
Against
that
a
he
weakened side as well, South African side.
But it was tough wickets. Those wickets were a lot
were
more
moving.
difficult than this.
Now, that pink ball didn't move around, did it? It
did
looks like a
nothing.
good batting track. So 500, England are never going to lose a game, are they? The games, they can't lose it.
No.
So it's theirs if the rain interferes
Needs
or
a bit of
whatever.
rain, eh?
Well, last night I watched all their batting, you know, and the West Indies got off to a shaky start, lost a wicket early, but after that the guys didn't have any problems and started playing some decent shots. The trouble with the West Indies, they can't put the ball in the same place 2 balls in a row. And against quality players, if you bowl 2 bad balls in over, they're going to put you away for, maybe 6 to 8 runs, isn't it?
Sorry, I know you're going to say that. I'm a huge Cook fan. I think Cook is probably the most underrated batter in the world, you know. Whatever you say about him is true. A great record and against great fast bowlers
Yeah,
in this
exactly.
decade.
Yeah.
But I'll say this, the bowling to him was so poor. No fine leg.
Yeah.
He must have got 60 runs just nudging it off his pads when anybody could have done it down to fine leg and not moving.
Field setting was ridiculous. I mean, the fact that they had their field spread from so early on day one was absolutely mindless.
So also take the new ball when it's due. That
Yes,
also helps.
I don't think the West Indies actually won to win this game. But anyway, that's the first test. We need to get a move on. There is, of course, a first ODI between Sri Lanka and India. We all have an opinion on who's going to win that. But we need to talk about the big fight next week. Mayweather and McGregor, the money fight. How's the hype, Carol?
It's all hype, isn't it?
It's all talk as well. Talk and hype.
Yeah, listen, I'm a purist. I love the pure science of boxing. So I really think this is just it's all hype. Money should win it very easily. Yeah.
But the fact that lots of people, including myself, think there's a bit of a gimmick involved here.
Yeah.
Do you think that might take the shine off, or do you think these guys are going to have a real go at it?
I think they'll have a real go at it. I really think that it's all about McGregor. I mean, he's coming into money's turf. He's going to have a real go at it. He's going to try as much as he can, but listen, it's going to be money all day.
Well, no one's been able to hit Mayweather in 49 fights.
Exactly.
Is it 49 or 50? There's an
49.
argument.
Well,
Yeah.
Liam,
Liam's
Liam, you've got a
about
theory.
50.
No, I'm hoping it will just degenerate, and the guy who's making the transition, just the red mist will descend, and he will completely
how did
lose
he
it.
get the 50th?
That is probably the best
You told us
sidestep
last
I've
week,
ever seen in my life.
You told us that Mayweather's had 50 fights.
Oh, yeah, of course I did. Yeah, but I mean, that wasn't
what was
sanctioned. It wasn't sanctioned.
Which one was that?
Who did he
Just
fight?
help us out.
It wasn't sanctioned, so
Which one?
it doesn't count.
Tell us though. Which
No,
one?
I can't.
You
It
said he
wasn't.
won.
It wasn't sanctioned.
Okay.
You weren't saying that before we went on air.
You don't talk from the kitchen. Come on.
But I mean, look, I think, to me,
Let's just get those prices up before one of us fall off the chair.
I know. I think that the 7-10 Mayweather to win with inside the distance is great value. I mean, the truth be told, what is McGregor going to do? He's not scared of anything, let's be honest, right? Yeah. He's going to put his head down and he's going to attack him. He's going to go mad for the first 3 minutes. He'll miss by a mile, right? And then eventually Mayweather will just pick him off and hit him at will, and he'll knock him out.
But it's going to go the distance. Remember, the longer it goes on, the more it's going to go the distance. I
don't think so.
Carol's 100% right.
Yeah.
The fact that this is a gimmick fight, and the fact the longer it goes, the more they earn, go the distance.
They're not getting paid by the minute. They're not
5-2 price, Gary, for Mayweather winning in the distance. I think it's a great price.
The 5-2 was Mayweather to win outside the distance. In points. I think it was
in points. That's what I'm saying. It'll go the distance.
So you guys all think it'll go the distance?
I just don't think he'll hit him. And Mayweather will just dance around, hit him at will after he gets a little bit tired.
Remember,
the gimmick will catch up with him.
They've gone for the lighter gloves as well.
So you'll get more cuts.
Gloves.
Okay, all right. Now, before we actually have a Mayweather-McGregor situation here, we just need to quickly enlighten you about the Techie Town competition. 1,000 Rand weekly Techie Town competition was won by Tion van Vuren, who got last week's answer correct. It was Floyd Mayweather Jr. Ironic that that's the theme that we're talking about right now. Right, who was the first cricketer to hit 6 sixes in an over in a first-class match? Was it A, Sir Gary Sovis? Was it B, Sir Gary Lenton? Or was it C, Sir Donald Bradman? I'm sure that's not the most challenging question we've ever asked in the Techie Town competition. Please answer with your name and surname. Competition closes on Monday at 6 o'clock. SMS your answer to 44472. Terms and conditions apply. SMS costs 50 cents per entry. Standard rates apply. No free SMSs. Right, we are going to Australia. And when we come back from Australia, we've got a very special guest to come into the show. We'll be talking about soccer. That special guest is Thabo September.
Us through the market for Tab. Yeah, imposing Lass back into outright favourite, Greg, but only just 3.30 with Tab, the 7, over the 3, which is Euro Angel, out to 3.30. A good jump then out to the 4, which is Sweet Redemption at 8.50. Shazzy Lee, the 9, is a $9 chance, and you could have had as much as, I think, 17 at first thing this morning. It did get into as short as $9, so that's halved its quote basically throughout the day. Now just back to $9.50. Then you go out to Heady Heights, which is on the same line of betting as Rocket Commander. They're $12 each of 2. Zanbar, much shorter on the tote, although it is getting out now 5.30 and 3.30 the tote. It's a $13 chance with Tab. Then you go to Perfect Rhyme, the 8's at 14. Beatniks, a $23 chance, and the roughie is Moroccan Ruby at $51. But that horse with the clerk of the course is Euro Angel. Second pick at $3.50 behind the 7 here, which is Imposing Lass for Björn Baker. I think he's had 2 winners down there at Kembla. 3.30 now. Imposing Lass. Euro Angel 3.60. Sweet Redemption 8.50. And Shazzy Lee into a $9 quote. Greg? Okay, thanks, Glenn. Duffy, alive in the quaddie?
Yes, I am with the rest of the world.
They're getting around to the start here, and they'll shortly move in. And Sweet Redemption on screen for Waterhouse and Bott and Adam Hieronymus. So they'll shortly move in. Any final thoughts here, Duff, before they go up into line?
Yes, he's very soft in the market late here in the Euro Angel, which disappoints me a little. I thought she'd run closer to a $2.50 chance here, but this first upper is in order, Imposing Lass, so she's very heavily backed into 3.20 here, but I'm still comfortable with the quality of Euro Angel here.
And Euro Angel will be one of the last ones to get around to these gates. We are back to the 1300 here for the Toy Show quality. Still to come on this card. A couple of good races still to come. Race number 8, the Show County. First leg of the quaddie going to guess who? Winks, number 7, To Be Alive. If you haven't got 7 on your quaddie ticket, you've done something wrong. So we'll go back to Glenn Munsey now for a final market update before we head up to Darren. Anything changed in the last 60 seconds, Glenn?
No, Imposing Lass stays 330, Greg. Euro Angel getting out again. That's her on screen there. Brett Navdullah in the saddle. She's out to 380 now back into 370. Sweet Redemption stayed 850. Shazzy Lee now it's still $9. Heady Heights into 11. Perfect Rhyme Rocket Commander 12 a pair. Zanbar continues to drift to 14. But Imposing Lass will run favourite here over Euro Angel. And the NOP, Euro Angel, Imposing Lass 320, Euro Angel 380. And the best move throughout the day, Shazzy Lee into 850 now, so 17 into 850 today. Imposing Lass 460 into 320 today. Euro Angel basically been at the same quote most of the day at 370 as Imposing Lass into 320. The rider out of the saddle on Heady Heights.
All right, well, this race has changed completely since Wednesday. Dixie Blossoms being scratched and Imposing Lass being back right in here. So let's get to Darren for race number 7, the Toy Show.
Here the riderless Heady Heights for the lightweight today of 53 is in, and they're all in. The light is on for the Sydney Markets Toy Show quality, 1,300 metres. The track record went off in the 5th of this journey. We're all set. Ready now, racing. Pretty good line out overall. Sweet Redemption off the inside. Jump Fastener is going to lead from Rocket Commander. Moroccan Ruby goes to 3rd and Imposing Lass, the post-time favourite, in 4th, just in front of Perfect Rhyme. They're followed further back by Beatniks, the well-fancied Euro Angels, well back in the field with Heady Heights. Shazzy Lee's over racing at the 1,000 metres and Zambar is the last one. Shazzy Lee won't drop its head back at the rear, and Sweet Redemption cruising along in the lead by a length to Rocket Commander. Moroccan Ruby in 3rd, then came Imposing Lass. A length and a half further back to Beatniks together with Perfect Rhyme. Then Euro Angel in the orange jacket from Heady Heights, Zambar and Shazzy Lee the last one. About 8 lengths from first to last of the 600 metres, and Hieronymus giving Sweet Redemption more rain. Gets about 2 in front now to Moroccan Ruby. Then Rocket Commander, Imposing Lass, Clark is pulling to the outside. Then Perfect Rhyme and Euro Angel 6 off the lead, which is Sweet Redemption up the rise, giving them something to catch. 4 lengths clear of Imposing Lass. Euro Angels held up. Sweet Redemption 4 lengths clear from Rocket Commander. Imposing Lass, Euro Angel getting a late split. It's Sweet Redemption in front. They're coming hard. Imposing Lass going to Sweet Redemption. Euro Angel late. Sweet Redemption clings on though, and Sweet Redemption wanted a neck to Euro Angel. Oh, she's been stiff. Imposing Lass 3rd in front of Rocket Commander, and then Heady Heights further back to Perfect Rhyme, Zambar, then Beatniks from Shazzy Lee, and Moroccan Ruby was the last one to finish.
Sweet Redemption number 4, Adam Hieronymus, Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott hold on to beat the...
Okay, so Dom the Bomb unfortunately ran 3rd. Great race that was there out at Randwick, and we'll check that second Australian race a little bit later on. Just before we get into PSL, let me expose the hand of our various experts. My best bets, New Zealand and Argentina to both win on the spread. So the spread for the New Zealand-Australia game is 16.5. I think New Zealand will win by more than that, and I think Argentina will definitely finish within the 15.5. I reckon maybe 10, 12 points like Liam and Gary were saying as well. In the football scene, 2 games of the Premier League, Man United and Burnley both to win. Burnley at home against West Brom, who are not the best of travellers, and then Middlesbrough to beat Nottingham Forest, and Derby to beat Bolton. Bolton haven't started off all that well. I actually quite like my best bets as far as my record is concerned. I think that's pretty much a 9 out of 10.
Very solid, matey.
Thank you, Gary.
A lot of
Glad I
sense.
got your approval. What have you done here?
I've gone very quiet this week because I got a lot of flack at the sales, right? I was called everything from words I'm not allowed to pronounce to a retard. That was the nicest somebody called me about the Free State bet last week. I've gone for Greek was minus 16.5. I think they'll murder the Pumas and Kimberley tomorrow. Man City and Leicester. I'm very comfortable with that double in the EPL. Very, very comfortable. I think 13 to 10. They're two sides. Leicester are very good in getting beaten by Arsenal. Don't write them off just yet. And then for a Hail Mary, I just think there's not a lot to choose between the Bulls and the Cheetahs. 25 to 1 the draw at Loftus. I think you'll be in with a chance come the last few minutes.
We're not quite done with rugby yet. We might sneak in a little bit of rugby later on. Rod McCurdy.
Well, can I give kudos, because I'm normally knocking people, but well done to the backroom staff for finally getting the betting up. for the
Yes.
It's only taken a year and a half.
It is your son. It's taken him a year and a half to.
He's a very quick learner.
click in.
Yeah. I think New Zealand will thrash Australia. I don't think Australia at the moment. I know Gary's made a bit of a case and they've got a couple of decent players, but gee, you know, I think just New Zealand might be too good for them. United, well, now see.
But don't worry, because your third best bet, you've got a whole week to discuss.
Sean, pop that back. I forgot what I tipped. I need to read it.
You liked United to beat
United.
I did.
Swansea.
I like
Swansea.
United,
Yeah.
and then Mayweather. I think will go the distance. I think he'll be too clever. He'll be hard to hit, and he might make a big show of it. And it might be embarrassing for McGregor if he does go the distance because he can just pick him off.
You play with him.
For $100 million, you can embarrass me as much as you like. Even
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, for 1,500 rand, you can embarrass me. I don't care.
All right, let's get into Liam's. Liam's left the building. He's got New Zealand to beat the spread of -16.5 as well. Liverpool to beat Crystal Palace. That's not as hot talking. And then he's taken an interesting double. Gregor Dimitrov to win the ATP Cincinnati Masters, and Sadio Mane to be on the score sheet for Liverpool later today.
No wonder he's left the building.
I can see Carol giving her approval, nodding her
Yeah.
head. But now we are going to introduce someone who's wearing the Springbok away kit for next week. Thabo September, very warm welcome.
Oh, wake it. Yeah, the red.
We need the red.
Yeah.
Yes, Thabo, nice to have you on the show. Great pleasure. PSL started last night, and Benny McCarthy now at the helm of Cape Town City. They've just gone to the home of the champions and said, right,
Yep.
hits and run, basically.
Yep. It's like I'm home. It's like registering myself, saying like, listen, I'm here to be recognized. So came there, won 3 points, gone to Cape Town.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a bit vest. I mean, the chances that they had in that encounter,
That's crazy.
unbelievable. And Major as well. I mean, I saw him in the M10 competition, obviously with Cape Town City. He missed so many opportunities in that game. He missed a lot of chances as well last night. And then the most difficult one is the one he scores.
Done.
Unbelievable.
And that's how the game is done.
Yeah.
Last week they won an own goal,
Yep.
and this time just one goal. That's all.
One
That's
chance
all
in the
you've got
first
one
half, and that
chance,
was
you're
that,
done.
right? Just one
Yeah.
chance. But that's
Which
what
is
it's all
solid
about.
for a
right?
coach that is coming, a new coach, coming to a PSL. Make sure that your back line is fine. Make sure that you are solid in the back. When you can clip a clean sheet, you've got chances to win the game. And
Walters,
he's done that.
unbelievable. Eh?
Yep.
Shell Walters, their goalkeeper. Really, really good.
But we did
Man of
say
the match.
last week that we didn't think that Wits could repeat and win again this season. We big yesterday, last week.
We won game in. Okay, yes, we did say it last week, but
But they still they got
you sound
9
like a Man United supporter. They've won one game 4-0.
I know, they're like
Oh, we're
winning
gonna
the
win.
league.
Wits
Winning the
Wits will
league.
not win the league this season. This is Sundowns. I promise you now.
You think so?
Sundowns
Sundowns?
win the league.
Thabo, I can see by that
I've got
reaction.
7 teams.
17.
that's how bad it is this season. It's going to be tough.
You think it's going to be a race
It's
between
going to be
seven?
a race between 7 teams.
Seven?
Yeah.
Which seven?
For me, I've got SuperSport.
Okay.
You
of
would?
course.
Yes.
I've got Kaizer Chiefs. I've got Orlando Pirates who's trying to come back to the top
Pirates?
8.
Okay.
They, even if they didn't buy any
Yeah, notable players.
recognized players, but they will come back to come and rectify what happened last season.
New coach?
And Sundowns coming to West to come and defend. They've got teams. There's always teams like Cape Town City who came last season. There's teams that want to come into the face of the PSL itself to the top 8, and they come, and as much as SuperSport, no one said SuperSport is going to win the championship in 2008, 2007. That's it. So you need that one team that is gonna be, which for me, I think it's not Platinum Stars. Definitely.
What, the surprise package?
Yes.
I've got a surprise package.
Who's the surprise?
Yes.
package?
everyone's
Golden
been-
Arrows.
Golden
I
Arrows?
think Golden
What?
Arrows will give a lot of big teams a fright. They've got the type of setup. I think they might be okay. But let's just have a look at the fixtures then for
Yeah.
the rest of the weekend in the PSL. Thabo and Carol, you can take us away. I'm going to start off with Thabo because obviously SuperSport United very close to your heart. Sundowns are a great side, but there seems to be a little bit of things going on there with Matsat Sansa.
No, they've had us last season. They dominated us last season at SuperSport, and this season we've got a new coach, a coach that has beaten them already last season in 2 times, and we've got a good chance. We've got a same team. We didn't lose many players. We bought. Actually, we made more than what we supposed to, and we're looking forward to a good season. So I see for SuperSport winning.
Carol, Polokwane derby. Polokwane City against Baroka FC. I see Doc Kamala's involved there with Baroka?
With Baroka, yes. Listen, they need all the help they can get. But I definitely think it's Polokwane City. They've got the momentum as well. They've already hit the ground running so far this season. Rise and shine, I think if you had to choose a surprise package, it could be Polokwane City. They've always been a really, really fine team.
Yeah.
They had such a tough season last season, but they finished the best that they ever have in the ABSA Premiership. So Polokwane City, I know, are definitely going to win that one. If you look at the other fixtures, look at your Golden Arrows against Ajax Cape Town. It'll be interesting to see what's going to happen in that one.
Ajax were in disarray last season. So
Yeah.
let me ask you your opinion. I mean, you've obviously played against Ajax a lot of times in Cape Town. Can't be an easy place to go down and play against.
Going to Cape Town is never easy.
It's a nice place to go, but that's
It's
about
a
it.
nice place to go. That's
Yes.
the wind, everything else. When you go to the field, it's totally different. But still, they don't have that confidence.
Ajax Cape Town, right? Yeah.
Ajax Cape Town, they don't have that confidence as much. Even if they play in Cape Town, the stadium, or Athlone Stadium, it's not the same.
Okay, let me ask the two of you, Carol and Thabo. Give us two teams that you think will win this weekend. You say Polokwane?
Yes, the Polokwane City, definitely. The Tshwane Derby. I mean, you have to ask us about SuperSport United or Sanda.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't want to.
You need to.
I
You
think-
have to, eh?
Oh, wow.
Pirates.
And you're allowed to go with a draw as well. You're allowed to go with Pirates. You're allowed to go with Chiefs.
I'll say Chiefs is going to win. Chiefs will win.
Chiefs and Polokwane. There's the
Yeah.
double. Thabo, do you agree with that?
What's your double?
I will
Teams
take
that are going to win.
Me,
Yeah.
Polokwane City definitely, because I think they playing at home and it's a derby, and
Yeah.
they are like the big brothers of. They've already played their first game, MTN8, and they've lost, but they showed signs of what they are going to do this season, and of course, SuperSport.
That's the
I'm going
heart.
to back Polokwane. That's why it's worth watching the show, right?
absolutely.
I would never have thought about backing Polokwane. Now I'm going to back Polokwane today.
Yeah.
Let's back
But your
Polokwane.
Sundowns, Gary, you're going to win the title. They're playing away from home today.
No, I'm not going to say that now.
It's
you
a
know.
derby as well. No.
I don't like Sundowns anymore. I'm a SuperSport.
Thank you.
There you go, SuperSport. You know what I mean?
Rod, what's your opinion? Do
Oh,
you
I'm
have
with
a double?
Sundowns now.
Sundowns.
Are
yeah.
you?
Would you go a draw there, or do you think SuperSport United will win it?
No, you think Stan Matthews is still there, am I right?
Stan is still there.
Yeah. But Stan doesn't watch. You can say anything you want about Stan.
Oh, is
'cause
it?
He's religious. He doesn't turn on the TV set on
Yeah,
Saturdays, am I right? So,
he's
so if you're going to
very
say something
religious.
about him, have a go.
Now's
now.
the time.
You can do it now.
He's got enough people who watch the show and will definitely spread the message. Right, we just need to quickly get into the Premier League. Of course, 10 games this weekend, one absolute cracker. Rod, you are a big Manchester United supporter. You probably think they'll win this game against Swansea 10-0.
I suppose you're going to tell me it's going to be a difficult game away from home because they sell lemons outside or something like that. United, if they're going to be a contender this year, last year they drew all these games, didn't they? Early on the season, they couldn't get the points. They got themselves out of contention. This year, they've got to get off to a decent start. They've got the players. I can't say that guy's name they bought from Chelsea.
Lukaku.
Matic, or was it?
Matic.
Matic.
Yeah.
Okay, Matic. Okay.
Matic.
He's made the
Oh, he's
difference.
fantastic.
I've been told all week that he's the player that's going to win it for them. Is that true? Because
That's
he
true.
delivers the ball, he does all these sorts of things. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah,
He's
no,
the guy that's
excellent.
always going to be there when they lose the ball. He's going to be
Yeah.
the guy that's always protecting the back four.
Yeah.
And he's always solid and simple passing. It doesn't do anything difficult. And it allows Pogba and all the other forward players to go and do their business. They
So
they fine.
he's a steal at 30-odd million. Absolute steal. If you look at the wage or what they're paying for players now.
Major loss
You know,
for
he's a
Chelsea.
steal for Chelsea.
Yeah.
And I want to say one thing. I don't know if you watched last week, but Gary made a really good comment, and I think it could come to bear, that the Chelsea manager will not be there either halfway through the season or definitely not at the...
He will not be coaching,
Yeah.
I said,
Well
next
done.
season, first game.
I heard a very, very good question. I actually want to get both your opinions on this as well. Who will be at Chelsea longer, Diego Costa or Antonio Conte? If Costa lasts to the end of the transfer window, I think I know who's going to be there longer, Thabo.
Nah, Costa's gone. Come on, Costa's as good as
Oh, he's
gone.
on strike in Brazil. He's not, unless he gets what he wants. He's stuck at Chelsea until the end of December when the next transfer window opens.
Yeah, I feel like the fans are bringing Costa back.
Maybe.
And they've got power. I promise they will always let the fans dictate as well, because it's a team that rely on the support. Exactly. And
Look, we're one game
Premiership-
in though, honestly.
no,
I
Premiership
really,
itself.
yeah.
But they've got a tough game coming up, a derby against Tottenham Hotspur. It's
That-
going to be a
that-
tough
yeah.
one. So with that coming
game.
now, whatever comes out of this, the results is going to push Costa to come back into the team, or it's going to push the coach away if they lose.
Okay, well, let's just chat about, have a look at that betting for the Chelsea Spurs game. Of course, that is at Wembley, the new home ground of Spurs for the season. How do you think that's going to go down, Carol?
Not a happy hunting ground for Tottenham at all. I think they're a little bit nervy about that one. Chelsea, having lost out last week, are going to really have to make up for that. So I think we're going to see a much stronger, much more resilient Chelsea side. They have to do it. They have to get the job done at Tottenham because people are already talking about, as you said, Conte leaving, even after just one game. So I think there's a lot riding on this one. Wow. Dele Alli, it's at Wembley. It could go either way.
Draw. I think.
Maybe a draw,
I
yeah.
don't think Spurs were so good last week. I know they got the point, but
Yeah.
they only got the goals after
Second
Newcastle got the guy sent off,
Yeah.
right? Against 11 men. They never looked like scoring, I don't think, Spurs, you know? I think there's going to be, these sides are going to not be as strong as they were last, obviously not. They finished first and second last season, you know? I don't think these two are going to compete this season for the Premier League. I really don't. I think you're looking at 5th, 6th, 4th, maybe fighting to stay in Europe. That's the way I see these two sides.
Jeez.
Well, I don't know if it'll quite be that bad. But anyway, we'll find out in May. Liverpool Crystal Palace. All this Coutinho talk, Mr. September. How will that affect Liverpool? Because they don't like playing Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have a good record against the Reds.
And they do. They've done it at Liverpool Stadium. They went there and they Anfield and they got the results. And now they've got a chance to do it at home. But I feel like Liverpool still have
Liverpool
the
have hit the
strength.
ground running, man. Liverpool are going to
still
win
have
this
the
one.
strength to
Yeah.
go past Crystal Palace.
Didn't Liverpool have a record last year losing against the sides they should have won against?
For
And
years
when they
they've had
played
that.
the
Yeah.
stronger sides,
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
they
always,
seem to lift their
always done
game.
that.
Is that a fair comment?
Absolutely.
that's
I mean,
a
they
fair
do tend to drop their bundle against sides that they feel that they should beat. You want to say something?
Can't say drop their bundle. What does that mean?
That's what Liam says whenever we talk about rugby.
No, that's what he said when he talked about his drunk friends, man, not about rugby. I just think that the Palace got off to a really bad start last week.
You know,
Yes.
losing at home
Really
to
bad.
Huddersfield.
Home to Huddersfield was really poor, and I think that already the warning signs are going to be out there at Palace, you know. I think Liverpool beat them this week. I think there's fair value there, you know.
I agree.
Okay, let's chat about the Arsenal game quickly because they travel to Stoke this weekend. The Bet365 Stadium, not a pleasant place to go, Carol, but Arsenal, again, 4-3 winners in the first week. But this is going to be completely different because Stoke tend to play more rugby than football.
Agreed. But again, I think if you look at what happened opening weekend of the Premiership, Arsenal should win that one.
Yeah, I agree.
Thabo, do you agree?
Yeah.
Who do you support, by the way, in England?
I'm a Man United.
No wonder,
yeah?
no wonder you and Rod got
That's
on.
why I knew when you walked in the door, I had a look at us, and there's a
Exactly.
clever
I mean-
man, even before I spoke to you.
Really?
I knew it. The way your presence and the way you, yeah.
Exactly.
So Arsenal for
Family
you
show
as well?
Kiss each other, right?
They've started well, and they've confidence because coming back from a 3-2 down and then coming back and winning 4-3, going away, you don't have pressure. You've already done it at home, so confidence is up. So I feel like they're going to win it. I feel
Sanchez stay at Arsenal or leave Arsenal? What do you think's going to happen there? Because the ball, to be fair, in this case, I mean, Coutinho's pushing for a move, Costa's pushing for a move. The ball, in this case, tends to be in Wenger's court.
Yep. I feel Sanchez is going to benefit now if he stays at Arsenal than going, because if he goes, wherever he goes, expectations are going to be high.
Yeah.
And pressure is going to be there. But now he's got opportunities to win things with Arsenal. And Arsenal has got a team right now, and that's what he wanted to have at the beginning. And they showed now against Leicester, coming back from, and he was not even playing. And for him, for staying this season is going to be good for him. I
They
think.
score a lot of goals, Arsenal, and they will
Exactly.
score goals
They will
throughout the
score
season.
goals.
Why would you want to leave, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
They should let Coutinho go, please. Barca need him.
Well, that's pretty much what the panel think about the big Premier League games. We are going to bid farewell to our friends on Soweto TV. We do carry on for another 10 or 15 minutes on Teletrack. Gary Lenton's going to move.
If you
not quite yet. We still got to say goodbye. Don't
No,
we?
but if you're saying goodbye to Soweto TV, then I'm going as well. You know what I'm saying? No, that's just not right. You know?
Gary is going to be replaced by a man that I don't think Gary is going to bump into on the way out. We'll reveal who that is after this quick break.
It's more, man. Gary is
So,
winning.
more to talk about. World Sports Betting are running a competition where punters stand a chance to win an all-inclusive trip for two to the Champions League final. Also, consolation prizes of 20,000 Rand and 10,000 Rand in betting vouchers. To enter, visit www.wsb.co.za. Click on the EPL Predictor button. Enter your predictions for free. One entry only per person. Just take note of that. So a fantastic initiative again raised by World Sports Betting. More chances to make yourself famous, basically. And here is our special guest. I told you that Gary Lenson wouldn't mess with him. Lawrence Sephaka, former prop for the Springboks. Nice to have you on the show, Matty. Nice to meet you as well.
Nice to be here.
Brilliant stuff. Rugby Championship kicks off later today. We were on the theme of football. You're a football man?
Well, started there and quickly changed into an oval ball.
Did you?
Yes, and I've got some foot skills.
Do you?
And
For a prop? They did used to say that you were fly half in a prop's body. Is that
yeah,
true?
and I think it's just a framework that was misappropriation by God, and I decided, you know what, stay as a prop. You know.
Thabo, can you do anything with a rugby ball?
Adjustment. I can fly. I can do fly off. Like I can kick to the goals. That I'll be fine with.
Well, don't use the
Scrum
toe,
half,
man.
I can just pass the ball. I'm done. As long as they don't hit me, I'm fine. Oh, rugby is so rough.
Fair enough. All right, so let's get into a little bit more talk about rugby because now Lawrence is here. And Argentina do have a bit of a reputation of being great scrummagers. Did you ever play against Argentina, by the way?
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I think the first time I played tight international level, you know, when we were touring end of years before you go, Jake take us, you know, just Tito, Argentina. I happened to scrum against a crowd which was formidable at the time, and I was still a lighty. They slot me at tight because we were having a field day. I mean, they were having a field day with us there. I happened to anchor, and my idea was not even play tight that year, was to basically get opportunities and go there. Other than that, I mean, they are good scrummagers, but if you are playing against them and you're not prepared, you're going to have a long data offers. But usually when you play them, you're very prepared because you know you don't want to put the foot wrong. They put passion into that thing, and if you get it wrong, you might not play for a long time.
Now, we are obviously playing this game in Port Elizabeth today, not in Argentina. We've got to face that next week, and we actually do have a pretty good record in Argentina. But as far as playing in Port Elizabeth is concerned, it's not one of those, when I say mainstream grounds, I mean, we are used to playing at the Ellis Parks, the Kings Parks, the Newlands, and places like that. Argentina I don't think they've played at Port Elizabeth before. If they have, it might have been a long time ago. So
they actually do as a Super Rugby, of course. They played against the Kings, so they're familiar with that from surrounding there. And actually a very nice stadium to play in. If you're a rugby person, you would enjoy playing. The surface is perfect, and supporters will come out knowing that they don't get a lot of support. So they'll be flooding the stadium, and obviously that hashtag is still probably filling up the stadium. So it would be pretty interesting with the Boks playing there. I think they'll fill it up better than the Sharks, to be honest.
if Rod still lived in Port Elizabeth, the stadium would fill up just with your presence.
You're amazing. If we get that taped about 18 months ago, you weren't looking too good, eh? You weren't looking too good. But anyway, besides that, I actually went to that game where the Boks beat the All Blacks. Going back quite a few years ago, and I was still living there. About 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
It was packed.
So it was amazing. All they wanted to hear was the haka, and we were up quite high in a box watching. So I was with Neil. So we went out on the thing to try and listen to the haka, but the crowd just drowned them out. You couldn't hear it, which I always think's a little bit of a shame because it's one of the great things in rugby.
Yes.
Maybe not when you're lining up
No,
against them.
it's actually good. We enjoy it. The thing is that if you haven't turned on, again, playing All Blacks, you don't prepare yourself mentally. Physically, you have to like polish.
Yeah.
But when you come to the game, when you do your mental preparation, don't do it too much because you drain yourself up before the game. You leave it for that moment. Then the lights come on.
It turns you on when...
Yes, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to...
Turn on the lights.
Yeah, what I meant was...
Carol, you are good. You are good, Carol. Okay, so let's just get a prediction quickly from Lawrence. I'm sure you're going to go with the Springboks, but how many?
Listen, Argentina is not slouch anymore, so I think it would be close. I think 5 to 10 points.
Singing from the same hymn sheet. This could be a very clever man. We agree with that. Just quickly on the Currie Cup before we say goodbye, we've got about 2 minutes left of show. You were a former Lions player. If you think back, 6, 7, 8 years ago, the Lions were in disarray. They almost weren't in Super Rugby. They've lifted their game. Yes, they lost last night to Western Province, but as far as the Currie Cup is concerned, who's the team to beat for you?
Griquas usually starts very well. And then the wheels tend to fall off like the last few weeks because I don't know, because of squad depth. they're looking good at the moment. But Western Province, what they showed me against the Lions, that was a bit scary to see. Seems they're getting back that whole Western Province mentality of running rugby, which is nice to see. Cheetahs are blowing hot and cold because they've got 1 foot in the sea, 1 foot, like in two continents. So it's a bit complicated. But I think the Lions, I don't think this year will. If they keep with that young team they're building, they're not going to be affected this year. But I think the Bulls we gotta watch. They're hungry for success again. And then I think, like I said, because the Sharks on the other side, sleeping tiger. They might be Sharks, but I think at the moment no one is talking much about them. I think they'll shock a lot of guys.
Okay, so that's pretty much that for this week's show. We do have another race from Australia, and then we'll be crossing over to Understarters orders. Big thanks to Liam, to Gary, and to Dom as well. But time to say goodbye to everyone. Rod, you've made it through the whole show. Well done.
I have indeed. Off to Hardy's this weekend, so don't look for me of Australia getting beat by 30 points. I'll be
Phone
tucked
off?
in a corner. Hey,
Phone off?
Phone will be off, and I'll have quite a few beers in a very quiet corner. Yeah.
Carol, what are you up to this weekend? Busy again?
So I am, yeah. It's all about the Premier Soccer League. I'm in studio working on the big one, the Tshwane Derby. Looking forward to that. But I'm in studio today and tomorrow. So all PSL.
There you go. Another one that's going to be in studio today. Lawrence, lots of rugby coming up. Lots of good rugby. I assume you'll be glued to the television?
Yeah, I suppose for the first time I'll be watching instead of working. So it will be very interesting. And when you're sitting with people, you tend to compensate while you're sitting with people instead of just watching and laughing with them and stuff. So now I'll be enjoying it as well for a change. So it would be nice to see. Hope the Bucks pull it through.
Thabo, thanks for stopping by. And your plans this weekend? Lots of PSL to come.
Started last night with Vets. Good surprise. I mean, champions. And then season has kicked off with team that finished third in the season, I mean, in the league. And then now the doors are open for other teams to compete. Definitely.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much that for this week's show. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to open an account with World Sports Betting. Big thanks to all our guests that have stopped by this morning, and hopefully we tipped you a number of winners.